Hello everybody, I have here the Kvetun side sword number 1, and it is a sword that I have wanted to review for a while now. I've had my hands on this blade for a little while, but I have used it before in the past and I've loved it, so I'm going to give you my thoughts on the sword itself. To start off with, I want to talk about the specs, just to get that out of the way. So it should say on its, well, it says on its website it's 980 grams, and we have here, it does say on my scales 975, so that's 5 grams out. That's absolutely fine. There are going to be little fluctuations in the measurements there. It specifically says that on the website anyway, because these are handmade objects. So 980 grams around that mark is extremely, it's very light, but side swords as a historical item do change up a little bit in their weight. Side swords in general, now this is a huge topic that you could go on forever and ever about. I do recommend actually looking at some of Matt Easton's videos on side swords, their development in the 16th century, late 15th century, because that's a whole nother topic compared to actually reviewing this sword in particular. But essentially what we have here is a blade, of course. We have a wheel pommel, which is nice, a knuckle bow, cross guard, we've got 2 finger rings, and what we'll have here, this like side ring, or almost like a navel, but it's not, it's like a side ring, and that projects out as well 2 little nagels on each side of the ricasso. So it's your typical side sword look. Some side swords historically would have scent stopper pommels and different other kinds of pommels. Some of them are extremely elaborate, used for gentlemen and all that kind of stuff. But essentially what we have here is the basic look of a side sword. Okay, measurements wise, you do get a 1-year warranty with this blade, by the way, so if anything happens in that 1 year, you do get a replacement, and they are good at replacing. Their Kvetun's customer service is actually, from what I have had, is really good, so I definitely recommend that. Anyway, so the blade length, including the ricasso, so we're going right up to the crossguard here, is 89 centimeters. Yeah, and then if we're going from the rolled tip all the way to the side ring, we are going to go at about 83 centimeters. So that's absolutely fine. That's quite typical of many side swords, many arming swords, and that kind of measurement. This would be good for Wessex League, for those who go to Wessex League in the UK, and I'm sure this would be pretty good in if you're doing side sword on the continent in Europe. This would be absolutely passable. It would be really good. Yeah, the grip, which is very important because it plays a fundamental role in the ergonomics of the blade. It's roughly 9.2 to 3 millimeters. Yeah, 9.2 to 3 centimeters, sorry. It would be tinier if that was really 9.2 millimeters. So it's a comfortable, tight grip. It doesn't need to be any longer than that. And I feel that it's a nice addition with the wheel pommel that actually rests upon the base of the blade, your hand, so you can actually commit back edge cuts quite nicely. Yeah. Something to note is the sort of S-shaped quillons here. They move out like that. There are side swords historically that do have that. This is quite an angular look though. It's quite squared off. Sometimes these S-shaped quillons are a bit more curved than that, but that's fine. I don't mind that at all. And in this case we've got a leather bound grip. You can have the option of cord bound if I was to order this myself, because this is second hand. I would have a cord grip Only personal thing. That's just a personal thing. Okay. So also something to note: we do have a rolled tip. If you want a spatulated or a rounded tip, that would be an extra €20, I believe. And we have here a threaded peen here. That's a negative point for me, because I'll talk about that now. So that screw, or the nut here, can come undone. It's not easily. It takes a few hits to it to kind of slightly unhinge, and you have to tighten that constantly, or you have to tighten it further. And the bad thing that I've seen on one of these side sword number ones is that the base of the grip here, the wood starts to split because you're continuously having to tighten, and it's bringing the pommel further in down the tang, and it actually splits the wood, and it causes a few issues there. And I'm hoping that in the future it doesn't happen to this, but I've already gone down about a millimeter from where the thread originally was, where the pommel was, so that might be an issue in the future, but who knows. This is second hand, as I said. There is a little bit of damage, or a bend on the one of these nagels here. Honestly doesn't really matter, to be honest, because that's not affecting the construction of the blade. By the way, this has taken some pretty heavy hits and parries from other brands that are quite a bit more chunky, and this can hold up to that as well, so that's nice. Okay. So we've gone through the weight, through the measurements. I just want to talk about the steel quickly. So we have a hardness Rockwell of 47 to 50. That's on the website. Also, the type of steel that is used is a 60C2A. Now, honestly, I'm not a specialist in metallurgy, so I have no idea what they're talking about there. Anyway, the bend in the blade's nice. You've got second third of the blade which is bending significantly, middle portion is bending a little bit, and it's nice and strong here, so you get a nice sense of presence in the blade. Yeah, it is quite nimble. It's quite not slashy, but it's quite whippy in its way that it you can perform cuts. I honestly love that, in terms of the fact that you have such a thinner blade here, but it remains quite stiff. It's not wibbly wobbly at all. You know, you can you get some blades where you wibbly wobbly about and you think, oh my god, you know, I have that on one of my arming swords. You can do that, and you can feel the presence of the end of the blade starting to curve as you're just wibbly wobbling it. So that can be annoying, but this doesn't have that. This remains rigid, however it bends when it needs to, because of safety. You know, you commit a thrust on someone with something like this, it will bend safely, which is good. And it remains nice in the bind when you start to commit nice parries and types of bind work that you will do. Yeah. And that is absolutely fantastic for that. Okay, regarding the ergonomics, you're not going to be sparring this barehanded. I mean, you can absolutely practice little drills and things like that barehanded, which is fine, but I do recommend using gloves. I have the Tempest Fugitive. It's almost like a rapier glove, really. I only really use this for rapier, but if you're going to do drills and stuff with this side sword, it's perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable. Yeah, the way I do hold this, one finger over the fingering, and I usually, if I'm going to be sparring, I would have my thumb on the little extension here, this point which allows further, gives a better construction. It's a bit more rigid and stiff when it comes to the tang and the blade and the shoulder. It's just a better construction there. That little triangle here on the right on the base of the blade on the crossguard. But I usually place my thumb right on that little part here, and you get a really good presence of the blade. I have here the pommel resting right underneath my hand here, so I've got great motion in terms of back movements if I want to commit a back edge cut. I've got because of the finger over the crossguard, I have really good presence and feeling of where the point is. And now I've got my thumb upon the sort of area where the ricasso is. I could put it on the ricasso if I wanted to commit a really strong cut, but I tend not to. I tend to have that resting on that little point there. I don't know if there's a technical word for that, but you can commit really nice controlled cuts by the ergonomics of this sword, and that's what I like about it. Yeah, it's light, and you can use this so quickly, so swiftly. You're giving yourself an advantage over other people because of the ergonomics of this side sword. Okay, so that's using the Tempest Fugitive rapier glove. You can use it for side sword, but I would find that if you've got particularly strong cuts with the side sword, you're probably going to risk breaking a finger. I would use the Red Dragon gloves, and I would usually wear it just for safety. I don't want to get my wrists in a bad shape. I use a Spez fan brace, but using this with the Red Dragon glove, again, I have good presence of the blade itself because of the ergonomics of this side sword. Fingering, index finger over the crossguard, protected by a finger ring. I have my other 3 fingers over the grip, and I have the pommel resting on the base of my hand, and I have my thumb resting on the ricasso thingamadoo. Yeah, it's just great. I tend to wear undergloves underneath these Red Dragons, and you can still get a really good presence of the blade. Yeah, great for hand protection in general if you're facing against someone who has an arming sword, which honestly, if you've got a side sword and you're facing someone against an arming sword, you have the advantage because of the swiftness of this blade, the fact that you have that pistol type grip with the finger over the crossguard, so you can get quick snappy flick cuts, and especially in a competition, you can easily get quick flick cuts right on the end portion of this blade onto their hands, onto their wrists, just anything that's protruding out, on elbows and things like that, and that's 2 points to you, just because this is nice, a swift, quick motion, and it's great. What I wouldn't use this for is longsword type gloves. So we have here sparring gloves. I don't think this will even fit. Doesn't even fit through the crossguard there. Because of the knuckle bow, this doesn't even go in. Yeah, so I can't actually hold this properly, if at all. So don't wear these. And of course, with your lobsters, I don't think even this will go in either. Yeah, no, doesn't even go through. Okay, so just bear that in mind. If you don't have a side sword yet, you will probably have to invest in a pair of these Red Dragons. Okay, so what I use this for amongst any other sword system is sword and buckler. I have here a cold steel buckler, which is nice and light and nice and nimble, and I have my side sword Kvetun #1, and that is nice and swift and quick. So this is ideal for competitions where you want to win, yeah, and you want to get those points, and be as swift and quick as possible in those sort of one tempo actions, just going for the head or going for the hands, quick snap cuts, quick what I would, it's basically sniping areas of the hands and the legs and kneecaps and things like that. So this is absolutely fantastic for sword and buckler. So swift, and I think this is the swiftest side sword on the market for sure. Other side swords I have used or borrowed or whatever, they're a little more chunkier, which is fine because historically side swords were such a huge broad area of swords in the 16th century and late 15th century that you're going to get all manner and all kinds of dimensions and ways that these are built and different construction and furniture and all that kind of stuff. So with side swords, that's just a huge topic in general. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the side sword number 1. It is just a fantastic blade for sword and buckler. You can absolutely use this single-handedly, so single side sword, and it is so swift, so quick, nice and light in the hands. Performing Milanese is just so easy, no problem at all there. The balance is great. It's right at right on the end of the ricasso there, so you've got a fantastically weighted, balanced blade. The only drawback for me is the fact that if I don't stab the wall here, is because of that nut here keeps on unraveling and just ever so slightly, and that needs tightening every now and then. So yeah, there we have it, the side sword number 1 from Kvetun. And I shall put that down and stop rambling before I go on and on and on. I hope you have a good day, and I shall catch you guys on the next one. Cheers, folks.